There's a horse that we're doing colic surgery on. It's on its back. We're making an incision in midline, the little sort of dimple looking thing down just where my knife is now. That's its belly button, and its head's towards the right of the screen. So we went through the skin and the linea alba, which is where the sort of muscles of your belly meet in the middle. Hop down through that with a sharp scalpel blade. Open it all up with a pair of scissors, like so. A little bit of fat to get through there, and then that small intestine popping out there. This is the quickest diagnosis I've ever made. So I pulled that out. That was about a small colon, and lo and behold, there's a big thing stuck in there, which is a thing called a faecolith, which is a concretion of feces, and that's normally all they are. So what we're doing now is this particular part of the intestine is only about 2 or 3 meters from the horse's backside, so we can actually feed a hose up there, and you can see why you couldn't feed a hose up unless you actually had the piece of intestine in your hand. You occasionally get the odd idiot that tries to do that, but we put that up in there and then just try and break it down using water. Didn't work in this particular animal, which was unusual, I would say. So we've isolated the faecolith from the abdomen with some wet forceps, or wet towels there. We're just going to bring it out with some forceps. So this is it here. I'll show you some video of it later on, but that's what it looked like whenever it came out. Like that. So that was good. We got that out nice and cleanly. And then we just sew that back up again. And then we clean it off just with some water before replacing it in the abdomen.
A bit of a fake material in your finger.
And then we have a look at the rest of the abdomen. We had some concerns whenever I felt that's the large colon we're bringing out there. It felt a bit sort of gritty and wrong inside as well, so we didn't want to sew this horse up and then have things jam there again. So we decided to evacuate that part of the colon. So this is how we do that. There's a thing called a colon tray, and that tray, it's probably hard to see, but it's on a bit of an angle, so we can lay that out there. It's a big U-shaped structure, and put a hose up there, flush it all out. So we flush out both sides, stitch it all up, 2 layers of closure, we don't want that leaking, so we stitch it up in 2 layers like so. Finished product, suture material all buried as you can see apart from the knots, and then it makes it much smaller as well, which is handy, makes it easy to get back in. It looks as if it's going in higgledy-piggledy, but it's actually being put in a very it has to be put in the right way around, basically, as you might imagine it would. All done. Sew up the linea alba, which is the sort of what we call the suture holding layer, so it's the one with all the strength. We suture that up with a double strand. You don't know if you can see it, but it's a double stranded piece of suture material there for extra strength. Suture up the skin. There's the horse's belly button, which is usually where I start my incision. And we got it out, and you can see it's like basically made of string. So it was string, probably sitting in the large intestine for a long time, and basically salts form on it, and they form these sort of hard structures. This is another one, and if you have a listen, you can hear they turn into quite solid structures. And if they stay in there for months, if not years, in the large intestine, the big thick part of the large intestine before they're passed, then they just keep growing and growing and growing, and potentially form something like this, of which we see, I don't know, maybe 2 a year, although in some parts of America they see them once a week. Faecoliths.